Ever feel like you're doing everything right but still not getting the respect you deserve? Maybe at work, in your relationships, or even online. It's frustrating, right? You see some folks who seem to command attention, sometimes through what looks a lot like intimidation, and a sneaky little voice whispers, maybe they're onto something. Maybe you do need to be feared to be respected. It's a tempting thought, especially when being nice feels like it's getting you nowhere. But is fear really the foundation of true respect? Or is there a more honorable and ultimately more powerful path? Today we're diving deep into this very question. We'll look at two thinkers who had very different ideas about power, fear, and respect, Niccolo Machiavelli and Sir Thomas More. And stick with us because by the end of this video you'll understand why one approach, while perhaps less immediately flashy, builds a kind of respect that fear can never touch. Welcome to the Mind Architect Lab, Practical Philosophy and Psychology. Let's set the stage. Niccolo Machiavelli, writing in the early 16th century Florence in his infamous book The Prince, gave some rather stark advice to rulers. Essentially, he argued that when it comes to maintaining power, it's safer for a prince to be feared than to be loved, if he cannot be both. Love, Machiavelli reasoned, is fickle, held by a bond of obligation which, because men are by nature wicked, is easily broken whenever their own interests are at stake. Fear, however, is maintained by a dread of punishment, which never fails. His was a pragmatic, some would say cynical view, born from observing the brutal political realities of his time. Around the same period across the English Channel lived Sir Thomas More. A lawyer, statesman, philosopher, and author of Utopia, More had a profoundly different outlook. He believed in a society and in leadership grounded in reason, justice, and a strong moral compass. While Machiavelli was advising princes on how to secure power for themselves, More was envisioning an ideal commonwealth and, in his own life, ultimately chose his conscience over political expediency, even when it cost him his head. Two brilliant minds, two starkly contrasting philosophies on how to navigate the world and the people in it. So why is Machiavelli's better-to-be-feared idea so darn seductive? Well, let's be honest, it has a certain raw appeal. In a world that often feels like a shark tank, the idea of wielding fear can seem like a shortcut to getting what you want. If people are afraid of the consequences, they're less likely to cross you, right? Subordinates might meet deadlines, rivals might back down, and that noisy neighbor might finally turn down their music. Machiavelli wasn't just spitballing. He saw leaders who used fear effectively, at least in the short term, to quell dissent and maintain order in chaotic times. Think of a drill sergeant who barks orders and instills a sense of trepidation. The recruits might jump to attention and tasks get done. In some corporate environments, a tough boss might rule by intimidation, and on the surface, it might look like they're getting results. Projects completed, targets met. The fear of losing a job, of being reprimanded, or of public humiliation can be a powerful, albeit negative motivator. But what's really happening beneath the surface? Is that compliance true respect, or is it just, well, fear? When the drill sergeant leaves the room, do the recruits maintain the same discipline out of admiration, or do they breathe a sigh of relief and slack off? When the feared boss is on vacation, does productivity soar because the team is inspired, or does it dip as resentment bubbles up? The respect born of fear is often superficial and brittle. It breeds resentment, stifles creativity, and erodes trust. People might obey, but they won't go the extra mile out of loyalty. They won't offer innovative ideas if they're afraid of being shot down. It's a command and control model that can yield obedience, but rarely genuine heartfelt allegiance. Now let's turn to Thomas More. His vision of respect was built not on intimidation, but on virtue, integrity, and a genuine concern for the common good. More, through his writings like Utopia, and more importantly, through his own life, championed the idea that true authority and the respect that accompanies it flow from a leader's character and their commitment to justice and moral principles. He believed that people are more inclined to follow and respect those they admire for their wisdom, their fairness, and their courage, especially the courage to do what is right, even when it's difficult. This isn't about being a pushover, it's about being principled. Think about the leaders or individuals in your own life whom you genuinely respect. Is it the ones who make you feel small or anxious? Or is it those who inspire you, who treat you fairly, who listen, and who operate from a clear set of positive values? In a modern context, Moore's philosophy aligns with ideas like ethical leadership or servant leadership, where the leader sees their role as serving the needs of their team or community, fostering growth, and building trust. In our personal relationships, it's about earning respect through consistent kindness, reliability, and demonstrating integrity. Even in parenting, there's a world of difference between a child who behaves out of fear of punishment and a child who behaves because they trust and respect their parents' guidance and authority, an authority built on love, consistency, and fairness. Thomas More himself became a towering figure of respect, not because he made people tremble, but because he steadfastly refused to compromise his conscience, even in the face of death. His legacy isn't one of a feared tyrant, but of a man of principle, a man for all seasons. That kind of respect echoes through centuries. So why is Moore's path superior, more honorable, and perhaps surprisingly, ultimately stronger than Machiavelli's? Let's directly compare. The respect that Machiavelli describes, born of fear, is inherently unstable. It lasts only as long as the threat of punishment is credible and present. It fosters a climate of suspicion, discourages open communication, and often leads to simmering resentment that can erupt when the feared leader shows any sign of weakness. People comply, but they don't truly commit. Their loyalty is to their own safety, not to the leader or the cause. Innovation dies because who wants to stick their neck out in a culture of fear? In contrast, the respect earned through Moore's approach, through integrity, justice, and demonstrated care, builds a foundation of trust and genuine allegiance. This kind of respect is resilient. It fosters loyalty, encourages collaboration, and allows for creativity and open dialogue because people feel safe and valued. Moore wasn't advocating for a naive, Pollyanna view of the world. He understood human failings, but he believed that appealing to our better natures and leading by example creates a far more robust and positive social or organizational fabric. The fear-based leader might see quick, superficial results. The virtue-based leader builds something that lasts, something that can weather storms because the commitment of their people is voluntary and heartfelt. Think about it. A team that follows a leader out of fear will scatter when things get tough. A team that follows a leader out of genuine respect and shared values will rally together. To bring it all together, the allure of using fear to command respect is a bit like building a house on sand. It might look imposing for a moment, but it lacks a solid foundation. Machiavelli observed a stark reality and offered a pragmatic, if grim, solution for rulers focused solely on maintaining power. But Thomas More offered a more aspirational, and I would argue, a more profoundly human vision. He showed us that true respect, the kind that endures, the kind that inspires loyalty and brings out the best in people, isn't taken by force or threat. It's earned. It's a byproduct of living and leading with integrity, justice, and a commitment to something larger than oneself. This is the payoff we hinted at earlier. Moore's approach is not just nobler, it's ultimately more effective because it cultivates an environment where people don't just comply, they actively and willingly contribute their best. Respect that is freely given is always more powerful than obedience that is extracted. So the next time you're in a situation where you feel the need to gain respect, pause and consider these two paths. Are you tempted by the quick fix of intimidation, the Machiavellian urge to be feared? Or will you choose the more challenging, but ultimately more rewarding path of Thomas More, to earn respect through your character, your actions, and your unwavering commitment to what is right and honorable? Cultivating genuine respect takes time and consistent effort, but it builds relationships and communities that are not only more pleasant to be a part of, but are also stronger and more resilient. What are your thoughts? Which approach, Machiavelli's or Moore's, do you see more often in the world around you, perhaps in your workplace or in public life? Share your observations and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this exploration valuable, please give this video a like. It really helps us know what content resonates with you. And of course, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to Mind Architect Lab for more deep dives into practical philosophy and psychology for modern life. Thanks for watching.